From blueprints to booming businesses, from groundbreaking to grand openings, this is Beyond the Blueprint. Join host Brad Howard as he takes you behind the scenes of growth and development in Mooresville, Lake Norman, and beyond. We're talking with the decision makers, the planners, the visionaries shaping our communities, giving exclusive insight into what happens before, during, and after projects that define our region. The future is being built right now. Let's go beyond the blueprint.
Good Friday afternoon. From blueprints to booming communities, this is Beyond the Blueprint on WSIC. I'm Brad Howard, and thank you to those joining us on the radio on 105.9 FM, 100.7 FM, 1400 AM, or if you're listening on social media or the WSIC News app or WSICnews.com. We are now into 2026, and this year will prove pivotal for North Carolina, both economically, politically, and in particularly here in the Mooresville and Iredell County region. The state is navigating significant legislative developments, including House Bill 765 and the upcoming U.S. Senate race. We're also witnessing unprecedented economic growth, driven by major corporate anchors and substantial real estate developments. Today, I'm speaking with Brett Krueger, a developer who has transformed the Carolinas, and who is currently developing one of our region's most ambitious projects, Sunset Cove. Sunset Cove will be a transformational mixed-use resort on Lake Norman. We're going to discuss the project's development and the significance for Mooresville, and the intersection of development strategy with local and state policy. Brett Krueger is a Charlotte-based developer with 25 years' experience in building boutique hotels, mixed-use projects throughout the Carolinas. His portfolio includes Michelin Key award-winning Ivy's Hotel in Charlotte and five-star Windsor Boutique Hotel in Asheville. He's currently developing the Empire Hotel restoration in Salisbury, which is a $25 million, 37-room hotel with ballroom and retail, and also the Sunset Cove Luxury Resort on Lake Norman, a $500 million mixed-use development comprising of 82 hotel rooms, spa, convention facilities, and 150 residential luxury condominiums. Brett, welcome and thank you for joining us. Our listeners, just so everyone understands, Brett and I both understand the complexities of navigating the regulatory framework, the financing structures, and the municipal process that any development requires. I want to begin with a personal foundation. Brett, you're a second-generation developer in the industry, like me, and that legacy shapes how we approach our work. What lessons we learned from our parents' generation, and how they continue through to the way that we conduct business today. How do those principles guide you when working with planning boards, county commissioners, financial partners? It gives you a slightly different perspective than the first time around. So we'll jump into this, and I apologize for my voice. I keep my throat keeps coming and going. So when you began in residential development, building neighborhoods, you transitioned into hotel development, historic preservation. What was the key thing that prompted your strategic shift into that?
Well, I wish I could say that I evolved into what I'm doing now, but 2008 kind of is what made me recreate what I was doing. You know, when we had about $50 million worth of developments out there. And some of these developments, I mean, you're talking about some of these lots, 130,000, up on Sugar Mountain.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And a year later, they're selling the courthouse steps for about $13,000. I mean, so there's not really a business plan to survive that.
No, there's not.
So 2008 really has reshaped me, kind of reformatted my thought process. I look for things that are more potentially sustainable, cash flowing, things that could be survivable. Mm-hmm. I had a lot of developments in different areas. I dealt with a lot of different banks. I didn't have one bank on the hook for a lot of it where I thought I could potentially negotiate out of. I read a lot of books about investment, and everybody said, look, if you, as long as you are only leveraged about 60%, if there's a downturn in the market, 10 to 20%, you would still have 10 to 20% equity to work through.
Right.
but there was not a book that talked about 90% deflation in your lot values and stuff. So again, I wish I could say that I evolved into this. Maybe I devolved into what I'm doing, but lessons learned.
And we'll talk about the how you structured finance component of everything a little bit later. But one thing then versus now that's interesting is, a lot of the lenders would put in your interest, and they would load a lot of expenses into there. So basically, you could do a development with really no money out of pocket, whereas today it's a little different.
Well, it's very different today, and not to mention COVID didn't really help out with all of this and everything, especially in certain sectors of lending, being like the hotel business. I mean, was decimated. It was completely decimated, by COVID.
Oh, it was.
And so a lot of things, retraded, very low prices, deals were worked out with some people, but especially when you're trying to do a boutique hotel, that already was a sector of lending that you didn't have banks lined up to do. Really mixed use in boutique hotels, which is the kind of stuff I do.
Right.
Very tough raising money. And of course, if it's tough raising the debt, it's going to be tough raising the equity, and so that's been an absolute struggle, for I'd say the last few years, the banks want to lend before you could get about 75, 80%. Now, you're looking at the banks, they want to lend like 50, 55%. That means you got to come up with 50% equity. You do a $20 million deal. Right. You got to come to the table with about $9 million equity.
And to put that in perspective, if we were doing this pre-COVID, and say it's a $50 million deal, it was probably a $30 million deal pre-COVID.
Well, yeah.
Because of the inflation
environment. And the cost of interest. Interest rates.
And regulation.
Yeah. People go, well, the interest rate went from 3.75 up to 7. That's not a big deal. But it is a big deal. That's like almost double what it was. Right. So very tough. The inflation didn't help. So thank God my wife has a really good job at Nucor Steel. Give them a plug. They're great.
Give them a little plug. So how have so we talk about the transformation over the last 15, 20 years. What fundamental shifts did you see in the Lake Norman market from when you started this, the concept of this idea of Sunset Cove? Fundamentally, how did the market change from the time you started with the contracting the land, which a lot of people don't understand how long it actually takes to get a development project moving. It's not just, just going to the town board and building it. You have to, buy the land. It takes years before people see that first shovel in the ground.
Yeah. And a lot of what you've seen is people originally were pushing off, the condo developments and things like that. They're very tough to get approved. And so you had apartments, like just apartments started becoming the rage. Now, apartments have gone up all over the place, and that's not what I do. I will never do that. So now a lot of people, I think, are more interested in seeing a condo development come forward, for approval or townhomes.
And there have been some very successful condominium developments that have tested the market, and I think have proven it. If you want to touch on those, or if we want to hit that, actually, we're going to take a break right now. We're going to touch on those projects and tie that back into what Brett's doing in Mooresville when we come back. This is Brad Howard, Beyond the Blueprint with Brett Krueger. We'll be right back. And we're back on Beyond the Blueprint. Brad Howard, we're joined today by Brett Krueger. We're focusing on the local Sunset Cove project that he is developing. So let's dig a little bit deeper there and talk about the design, the amenities, and the strategic positioning in Mooresville's broader development framework. What is your position on, or what was your original vision for this?
My original vision, what we got actually approved was condos, and we had the condos approved, the hotel. We had the hotel actually approved originally, which was like 83 hotel rooms. And as we got into it, we're trying to put the money together. Very tough on a boutique hotel, very unproven market, right? North Charlotte, there's not a 5-star. There's nothing above a 3.5 star right up here. So That's a tough thing to prove to people. Once you get over about maybe 30 million, something like that, it seems like you have to go outside the Charlotte area, maybe South Florida, New York, Boston, Chicago, sometimes Atlanta. But you have to go, and those people don't know the market. They go, man.
They say, show me a comp.
That's right. They say, let's see a comp. And so you show them the lake. They go, there's a bunch of houses out here. People don't want a hotel here. I'm like, well, everybody wants a hotel here, And they don't realize like how special our site is, right? Because you have to have utilities. If you're going to do a hotel, right? You have to have utilities. You have to have you can't get it zoned in the county. A lot of Lake Norman is in the county, right? It's
the majority is in the county. There's only a few places that actually, except Cornelius, but the other in Iredell, there's only a few places Mooresville touches.
And where there are towns, I mean, generally all that land's already been developed. So this was a very rare thing where we had to put together about 9 sites actually together to actually do this.
So let's back up on that. So it goes back to describing the development process, which, in the show, we try to bring people behind the blueprint, beyond the blueprint. And so going through a development project, and we'll come right back. But so take land acquisition. How long do you spend? Walk people through the development process about acquiring the land. So, and then how long does it take to do that? And then once you acquire the land, what happens next? Sort of the time flow of before that shovel hits the ground.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'd say really you just got to flush your personal dignity and ego and everything. That's the first part of getting started because it's so much rejection all the way through this entire process. People will come out and fight you. They don't even know why they're fighting you. Just their neighbor told them to come out and fight you, Right. So basically what you do is come up with a concept, something that's needed in an area, and when you see what's needed, then you got to convince people they're going to finance you, right? Debt, equity, personal lenders. I mean, you got to convince these people that your assumptions are correct, and you don't really necessarily have the data to do it
because there's no comps.
That's right. There's no comps on this lake for what we're doing, right? So, and that's amazing. That's amazing. Think about it. Charlotte's the 13th largest city in the nation. And you think about all these other cities, you say, where's the resort? Where's the resort here in Charlotte? There's not one.
There's not one.
People would say, well, Ballantyne. I mean, Ballantyne, is okay. And they got some nice things, the bowl and everything down there. But, there's not a true resort in the city, and that's amazing. And you get so many people traveling through here, right? The people coming to stay here. You get people coming from New York. You get people coming from Florida. They call them the halfbacks. A lot of people coming up. But they're visiting a lot before they're moving here.
Right.
So there's a ton of travelers through this area, millions.
And there are. And I was at a restaurant, I guess it was in the summer. We were there, and I didn't realize how many people, because they were telling me out by the water, most of the people that come by at certain days and whatnot are in Airbnbs. Yeah. And that's something you don't think about is their tourism. And they're coming to Lake Norman for their vacation.
And they're spending a lot of money around the lake, and so you got...
And I think there's at least 800, I believe, is the number that are on the lake.
Yeah, I've heard 1,100, so somewhere within that, yeah. But, and that's amazing. These people don't really have a nice... I mean, there's not a hotel to stay out on lake. There's the Lake Norman Hotel.
Right.
How many rooms is that? That's like pretty small.
But
Anyway, if you're talking about a real, true boutique,
a resort to host, to help our corporate partners that live and employ people in Iredell County and the Lake Norman region.
Well, that's another big thing. Travel really incites development. Once you get travelers in the area, they love the area. They start to like the area. They say, "I'd like to live here."
Right. And that's how our population grew. Was one family member came and then they told their friends and they came to visit for a holiday and they never left. Right. Yeah. They stayed.
One thing I've heard a lot of people say, I-77 was like, they said, we go to Florida every year and we travel down I-77, we see the lake.
Right.
They see the lake. And we said, maybe we should move here.
Yep.
I've heard that a lot. But getting back to your original question,
right.
I would say, the biggest thing here, about development is you really have to come up with a concept, something you could sell to people. You have to have a site. I mean, location is everything, right? You can't take your proven concept and go in an area that's not going to work. You have to have one of the best sites. That's why even, with my last group, MRK, we developed right in downtowns, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean,
The heart
the
of the city.
Ivies,
Right.
one block off the dead center of Charlotte, right? Trade and Tryon. I mean, we're one block from that.
And everybody knows how successful that project is. And then, but tell the story of that. I mean, even that was, a fight.
Oh, it's the craziest thing. We purchased the downstairs just as a cap rate performing asset, right? And it was like a 7.5 cap return, 7.5% return per year. I was like, look, I could take it up to a 10%. And then we had a chance to get the upstairs. We didn't know what to do with the upstairs. I tried to do retail, and all these retailers are about 5 years out. Everybody's outlet. So even the big brands, when you contact, Chanel, Louis Vuitton, all these big brands, they were like, look, we're 5 years out from choosing an area, and we might come to Charlotte. But I'm like, I didn't have that long to wait. So one day I was looking at a hotel in Charlotte. My partners were like, hey, Brett, we want a hotel in Charlotte. So I literally was walking back to the hotel. No, sorry, I was walking back to the Ivies. And I just looked upstairs and I said, man, we could do a hotel here. And I sat down, in about 20 minutes, I drew a sketch. And I said, look, we could probably get about, 45, 47 rooms. And so eventually it actually became 47 rooms. That was a 20-minute sketch that I did,
Right.
Hired an architect. I had to get everything approved by the board. I think there's 29 things I had to get approved by that Ivy's board throughout the whole process.
Wow.
And they were great. They're very supportive. Everybody in the building, we built in a condo building, man, over 2 open restaurants under 64 condos. Crammed, site, tight. That was one of the toughest projects ever,
Mm-hmm.
So.
But the expectation, you went in, you modeled certain returns, room rates, whatnot, but just, and you tried something new. You pioneered that in uptown Charlotte, and you pioneered that in Asheville, and you're the pioneer.
Which is a very funny story, because our original appraiser came in, and we barely had enough money to actually do the project, because the original appraiser came in and said, look, he said, you think you're going to be over $300 on the average daily rate? And I said, yeah, I do. And he said, look, you're not Marriott, you're not Ritz-Carlton, you're not a brand. Who the heck are you, right? So he said, I'll give you $180 on your average daily rate. Mm-hmm. He said, it's going to take 18 months to stabilize that. And I said, your occupancy? He said, I think you're doing good if you get 62%. So I'd modeled the whole thing at about a 73% occupancy, and I'd modeled a $300 average daily rate. And in our 4th month open, we hit it, and we actually stabilized for the first year. And our first year, I think it was over $300 average daily rate. Oh. And the appraiser came back and was like, unbelievable. He couldn't even believe we did it. And he said, look, now I got to sell to the bank. Why? Because we're doing a cash out. So right. He said, I got to basically now tell the bank why I have to appraise the hotel for twice what I originally did.
Yeah. Well, you created a new market.
Yeah.
And then you did the same thing in Asheville. And
you have to have the vision to do it, number one. And then you have to have, it's like people all the time would be like, wow, we hit our projections this month. I'm like, yeah, well, I knew that the second, the third, the fourth, I knew it every day, right? You're watching the business. And if you come up with a concept and you're going to actually develop it, you better be the guy in charge, making sure that you hit those numbers. And that's what I do.
Right. So I want to backpedal now, because we sort of went a little ADD on the topic here.
It's okay. It's a 3-hour show, right?
No.
Oh, okay. No.
So we have the development process. We're talking about the timeline and what it really takes to get you to a groundbreaking. So how long do you typically spend acquiring the land? So if you have to put 5 or 6 different parcels together on a site.
We wound up negotiating for a few months. Everybody's apprehensive about giving due diligence time and everything. And a lot of people abuse that due diligence time, developers. They start the due diligence.
And they show up one day before and say,
right.
oh, I need an extension.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. It's frustrating. Yeah. So I try and tell people, this is what other people are going to do to you. I'm not going to do it to you.
Right.
And so here's what we're going to do. And I do keep them updated. Like I actually will keep them updated, like every week or every other week, mm-hmm. Or maybe every month. But I kind of tell them where we're at in the process and the timeline I originally gave them. So they know maybe 60 days out if we're going to need more time, right? And I think that's a big thing, right? Communication. Yeah. Not coming back on the 11th hour. Hey, it's been on my desk. I didn't have time to work on it. I mean, no, I'm working on this every single day, and so I think people appreciate that. But But
just the time to get all the properties negotiated under contract can take months.
It can take months, and you got to line up the due diligences with each other. Then you got to do phase ones, environmentals. Right. And all the TIAs now are required.
So once you have the land secured, then you actually can go, oh, okay, we're going to have to take another break. He's playing in my ear right now. So we're going to take a break, and this is Brad Howard with Beyond the Blueprint and Brett Krueger. And when we come back, we're going to walk through the process and then jump back to looking forward. We'll be right back. And we're back on Beyond the Blueprint. This is Brad Howard. I'm joined today by Brett Krueger, and we are discussing the Sunset Cove project at Lake Norman, a massive $500 million resort preparing to move forward on the lake. It'll be the lake's first true resort and hotel. So, there is a hotel on the lake, but this will be the first resort. Back to the process. So it takes months to assemble the properties. Then you have to go to the town, right? So once you have everything negotiated, you go to the town. You spent 6 months into this so far. You go to the town and you start working with them preliminarily before you make application, and that's a few more months.
I mean, yeah, right.
Or depending on the town.
Yeah. So any town that you're in, you basically have to put together your concept. You got to show your studies and everything that the site can allow what you're trying to do. It costs a lot of money. You have to come up. Some of the towns, really want like a drawing of the exterior, some elevations and stuff too, right? Mm-hmm. So as you get through this process, you finally deliver everything, and then you will do everything that the planning directors, will ask you to do, and then you'll realize, like a lot of times at the end, you're getting ready to get to the planning commission, right? All of a sudden, you'll find out, you did everything we wanted, but there's some people on planning commission don't really like the project, right?
Can you change this? Can you
change this? So maybe you tweak it a little bit, and then if you get approved, then all of a sudden you'll hear, hey, it's got to go before the town board, city board. They don't really like this or that, and I mean, sometimes, and not to mention, sometimes the planning office will come back and say, hey, we forgot to impose these things. So there's a lot of changes and a lot of variations. I mean, it's almost like you're in a heavyweight fight and you're just getting punched and punched and punched, and you can't punch back. I mean, like you have to try and work with these town officials because they're elected by the people, right? And you have to work with the planning department because they are hired to implement the standards that the town has asked for, right? Mm-hmm. But I don't think people know behind the scenes how much all of this winds up changing.
Over and over, and then the time involved, and that's why it takes. So, after you spent half a year trying to put the pieces together, then you started having preliminary meetings with the town or with the politicians for several months, and then you come in and you start the formal process, and then you start doing your physical diligence, and that takes.
Yeah, I mean that initial just studies on the land and everything, and knowing what you could do. I mean, really, and doing some preliminary site plans really takes 6 months, and then it could take a couple more months to get in front of planning, and then a couple more months to get the town board. So I mean, really, you're talking about a year. Usually, that's what I say is about a year minimum.
On the minimum. The minimum.
That's the minimum.
And if it's something larger or more controversial, it could be a year and a half plus.
Well, yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. You want to stay away from the controversial things. Most of the things that I do are very, I would say, lesser impact, not low impact, but I mean, they're lesser impact. I try and be a green friendly developer as much as I can. Mm-hmm. Honest God. I mean, I do care about the environment, and I do care about, something that's good for the community, and so I really take that to heart, and I really try and listen to people. And I actually go out to the neighbors. I mean, I go to the neighbors and I talk to all the neighbors, just tell them what I want to do. And I have noticed in real estate development, like a lot of people don't do that, right? And a lot of people have their attorneys go in and do the presentation,
Right.
which is the craziest thing to me, right? Because, you know, I want to go in and deliver my presentation and what I'm trying to do. And I'll have people supporting me in the crowd that a lot of times will get up and say, hey, Brett's come to us from the beginning.
Yeah.
He's talked to us. He's told us. We told him our concerns. Here's how Brett alleviated those. So,
And that's a good point, and I promise I won't go off track again. I had another developer on earlier in the year, or I guess earlier last year, and one thing he made a very good point, and you're in the same position that he is, that I am, is when you're developing and you're talking with the neighbors, they're our neighbors too. Whereas a lot of developers are from somewhere else and they're coming to town and they don't know the history, they don't know who they are. And even if you say they're a good person, but back there, but people here, I mean, they know us, they see the work we've done, and they know that, you know, we're very respectful of the past, the present, and the future.
well, yeah, I mean, anytime you're doing a development, I mean, you better consider all of that, right? Because if you're just considering the future, there'll be a lot of people that bring up the past and they'll bring up present needs in the community and trying to be like a good neighborly, friendly developer. I mean, is what you want to do. You want to do favors for people and you want to help people and you want to listen to them and because ultimately, whatever you're creating, you're going to rely on that community to support you.
They have to support it.
That's right.
Yeah. Otherwise, why is it there?
Well, one more thing I was just going to say about the Charlotte market. You think about, I mean, there's 3.5 million people, I guess, in Charlotte, the MSA.
The MSA, yeah.
You know, and they don't really have a resort that they can go to up here on Lake Norman, which again is the
It blows
craziest
my
thing.
mind as well. Yeah.
But now, I mean, and you think about these people, they travel to, I mean, Myrtle Beach, they go to the coast, they travel down to Florida, the Caribbean, Mexico, and they just want an on-the-water experience, drinking their hand next to a pool.
Right.
And we're going to be able to give that to them here. And so a lot of the neighbors I've even talked to, they're like, oh, I'm going to sell my boat. I'm going to sell my boat, right? Because I'm just going to come and hang out at your place, right? You know, or get a room. And makes sense to me.
And even for the bars, the restaurants, and the options that are currently on the lake, there's only a handful of options that people have.
You can have lunch or dinner. You could rent a boat. You can buy a boat, or you can buy a place on lake. Which now, I mean, I think the average is 1.2 million. Is that right?
That's probably a starter on the lake.
Yeah, that's
especially waterfront.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's it's a different world. So now that we're there, we're a year plus in just on the entitlement side. From there, now we're going to then you're buttoning up your lending, your closing. How long's that taken? and what is the pain at this point?
Yeah, I mean, that's a loaded question. I mean, that's the whole reason we're here today in this development that we are now. You know, we originally got the hotel approved, and when we got the hotel approved, like, oh, it's going to be great. COVID hit, decimated lending industry, right? So nobody, when you say, hey, I got a hotel needs a loan, they're like, yeah, I bet you do. Every hotel
does, right?
In the U.S. needs one right now. So I was like, all right, let's pivot and let's do the condos, man. Because during COVID, the real estate market really started booming in a lot of areas and stuff, right? So I was like, let's do these condos. I went back to Mooresville, and they said, look, you know, even though you're approved, it was called Village Center back then.
Right.
They said a hotel is a special use, so technically you're really not approved for Village Center. I argued that, and I was like, fine, I'll just go back and get the approval for the condos. Well, that took 9 months, and then one of the commissioners came out and didn't like the concept and said, look, we want some guarantees and we want to see a site plan. And, you know, I should have pulled the application at that point. I didn't do it. I went to the vote and I lost. So I had to redevelop everything, right? It took another year to get back in front of, almost a year to get back in front of everybody. And what I did was bring through 280 condos, and a hotel. So the approval that we got was up to 280
residential units, I think was your word.
It is approved. And the hotel, there's no limitations, but it has to be at least, I think, 25,000 square foot hotel.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So yeah, and we're gonna phase this, and you know, we'll go in with the condos are going in first.
Right. And these are, when you say condos, these I would consider them luxury residences.
Oh yeah. I mean, they are luxury residences, you know.
Let's do a pitch here because we're getting ready to go to break. So take us out in the break. Give us the elevator speech on the units.
All right. So, you know, again, you talked about comps. Comps were an issue here in Charlotte. But, you know, during COVID and everything, some projects, I mean, they're hitting $1,000 a square foot on some of these places. We're going to have, 28 luxury condos on Lake Norman, like something that nobody's ever seen before. You know, absolutely incredible. All waterfront views. They're right on the water. We'll eventually do pickleball courts. We'll do all that stuff. You know, all the talking points, and then there'll be some kind of working with the hotel and the amenities, and has a spa and everything.
Okay, well, very good. And we'll get into the pricing when we get back. So it's Brad Howard, Beyond the Blueprint. We'll be right back. And we're back on Beyond the Blueprint. I'm Brad Howard, and we're joined today by Brett Krueger, and we're talking about Sunset Cove, a $500 million resort coming to the Langtree Interchange on Lake Norman, the only one of its kind in the Charlotte market. So we're talking about the condominiums, though, that'll be ahead of the hotel. We were talking about the amenities and everything they're going to have. What does the price point look like on that? Who are some of the partners? Where is this heading?
Yeah, so to be clear on all this, so I brought in an investment group, and they have left me in charge at this point. You know, but it's their money. They're putting up the money. Mm-hmm. You know, we've got a couple different. We've got CPACE. We're planning on doing on this too. Okay. I don't know, you know, if you've ever done a CPACE loan.
Have not done one, but I've talked with them.
Yeah. So we're planning on doing CPACE, which will have to get approved here in Iredell County. State of North Carolina has approved it, but not the county. But yeah, we're going to get all this in place. We've already started the engineering. We've started the architecture, but you know, even after the approvals, like you're talking about before, what's the time frame? I mean, you're looking at a year, right? And then literally, when you sit down and you look at your architects and engineers, and you're like, hey, how long is it going to take? Okay, well, it's going to take about 9 months to a year to actually get all of your stuff actually produced and then approved.
Then you have to permit it.
Yeah, the permitting. Yeah, then the permitting you have to do. So potentially, if you get everything done in 9 months, you try and go the permitting. But I mean, you literally could be 2 years in this. Now, in the big money in the deal, they don't want to close on land. They don't want to spend that money until you can actually put a shovel in the ground. So that's another thing you got to negotiate with everybody, So,
and that's a hard lift to say, hey, I want to tie your land up for 3 years.
Exactly. Now, in this case, a partner that I have actually had closed on the property, and he's like the greatest partner ever. I mean, because everything I just told you that we've gone through, he's been extremely understanding and everything about it, So, but it's been a tough process. The condos, I think, we're probably going to be in the range of, really starting is about $2.5 million.
That was the number I wanted you to get out.
Yeah, about 2.5 up to over $5 million. We'll actually have my regulations. You can only go 4 stories, but I could go 5 stories on the back.
Right.
So really, you'll be about 5 stories up on Lake Norman on those penthouses, and you can actually look out. I mean, you could see the tip of Grandfather Mountain.
I was going to say, not just that, is that your site? It's due west facing out of the Cove. Sunset Cove, and that is the perfect name for the project.
No, it's unbelievable sitting out there. I mean, it's really serene. You sit out there and watch the sunset over that lake, and the lake just lights up this golden, just beautiful color. I mean, it's just unbelievable. But anyway, I'm very excited about getting the project going. I wish we were doing the hotel and everything right away, but the hotel will still be, in the next, either it's in phase 2 or phase 3. It was decided yet, but the first building will be like 28 condos. Second building will be 28 condos, And we're working with, right now, with FMK Architects, which they're great. They've done condos before. They did a very similar building to this, actually. It's called the Tides in Mount Pleasant. Not the one in Folly Beach, the hotel. The Tides is a condo development, and they're all just single-facing waterfront condos.
Right.
And they face out of the Charleston River. Gorgeous, yeah.
So I'm excited for it already. So the timeline. So now people understand. So through the development process, and we're using the project here at Sunset Cove to talk about the timelines and everything else. Literally the years it takes to get a project to the shovel in the ground. So when everyone sees the shovel, they don't really know the years that it was spent to get there.
I mean, 2 years minimum, really. Honestly, I think 2 years minimum. And then I would say, it's going to be at least 18 months to build this. Right. So you literally are looking at, could be with overruns and stuff, 3.5 to 4 years, which, so anytime as a developer, you got to say, hey, what's the economy? What's everything going to be doing 3.5 to 4 years from now?
You have to project a whole monetary cycle.
That's right. That's right.
So where interest rates going to be when we land? Where's everything going to be? Are we going to have another COVID-like event? Are we going to, what's going to be happening? Are people going to say we don't want to live on Lake Norman? Or
that's why almost every project I have is extremely versatile. Like, I mean, there's another one in Thomasville that we're working on right now, and it's their old city hall, which was built in 1938, and it was literally a fire station, police station, and was their courtroom, and their jail. It's the craziest building I've ever seen. Because I mean, anytime as a developer, your passion project.
So the jail cells are the new studios. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I got to put. I think I'm going to put the bar in the jail cells. But that's a cool building because you're literally getting to redevelop something that is just unbelievable meaning to that town. I mean, so fire station, police station, courtroom. When you walk through there, you can just feel the energy of what that building's been. So.
Absolutely.
And it was their bomb shelter in the 1960s.
It was a bomb shelter.
That's how solid that building is.
You should use that in your marketing materials.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But to get to my point real quick, sorry, but I was talking about that project. We're kind of building the units like apartments so they could be a 12-month rental. They could be Airbnb, vacation rentals.
Right.
They could be hotel rooms, right? Or they could be corporate rentals, right?
So it gives you the flexibility to flow with the market.
Every project I do, I try and have some fallbacks.
So in the same listening area, the Salisbury project, the Empire Hotel. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, that project. So originally that building was built in 1855. So you're talking it was built pre-Civil War. So when you walk through there, there's still some trim, and everything, moldings, arches.
There's still original woodwork.
Yeah. From 1855.
Wow.
So that project is absolutely amazing. It's about 100,000 square feet. It's a whole city block. But that's another one. I got picked right as COVID was hitting, Right. And so here I am, still putting the money together. But we do have a line of money. I did get CPACE approved in the county and everything there.
So Rowan has approved it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what needs to happen in Iredell? I don't mean to go around. So
we actually have to get Iredell County to actually approve the CPACE lending.
Okay.
The county commissioners actually have to.
Do you want to describe what CPACE lending is?
CPACE is like a green initiative, lending platform. It's for new buildings that are energy efficient, and if you can show that energy efficiency that you have, then you can basically get up to 30% of the project, I think it is, and it's a loan. Now, it's the craziest thing. It's a hard sell for the banks because it becomes a first in front of the bank. So like on the Empire project, you literally have $7 million that goes as first.
Okay.
Then we've got tax credits that also become like a first. They can't be foreclosed on for 5 years. So you've got two of these things.
So you've got historic tax credits, the CPACE that are senior to the bank or the lender, whoever your lender is.
Yeah, and so you basically have to go to your lender and your investors and everything. Hey, even if we don't pay, you can't actually foreclose on the tax credits, right? I mean, because these people would lose the tax credits that that have invested with us, our investors, right? So that's why they invested with us, was for these tax credits, number one, right? Number two, on the CPACE, it becomes a senior loan, and it would have to either be paid off, or whatever deal you could the bank could make. But so the bank, I mean, anytime the bank's going to give you money, they want to be a first. So now they've got to take a senior CPACE. They got to take a senior tax credit, and so anyway, not easy.
It all goes back to, hey, he just threw a building up. No, that does not happen. So before you see that building, there's years of work that went in behind the scenes.
That's what people ask me all the time, like on LinkedIn. I have a big presence on LinkedIn. People say, hey, I want to be a developer like you, Brett. Like, I'm like, what do you do now? And it tell me whatever job they do. I'm like, just stick with that, man. Just stick. Because you have to be a rare person. Like, we literally, it's every single day, it's problem after problem. My wife would listen to some of the phone calls. She'd be like, oh my God, what are you going to do? I go, babe, it's a Tuesday. This is no big deal.
That's just another day of the week, right?
Yeah, this is nothing.
Shrug and keep moving. That's right. Yeah. So, so looking forward, here's we wind this episode down, 5-10 years down the road, Sunset Cove, since that's where we are locally here. Let's talk about that project. What do you see? What do you see there in the next decade?
I mean, I think, we'll have the condos built, the hotel, there's land around there. I've talked to a couple groups about potentially building like a mini mall there, right? Very high-end stores,
right?
But I also want an outdoor area. Like for that area, I literally want to create, if you're going to take a date out, you can take your wife out, whatever. I want to create the greatest date place in Charlotte, right? A destination place.
So they drive from Charlotte up to us. They drive to the lake.
And you think about it, when you go on vacation, what do? You go out, you'll go to some restaurants, there'll be some little boutiques open until 11 o'clock. We don't have anywhere in Charlotte like that. No. We don't have anywhere in Charlotte. But if we can create that, I think it's better for everybody. Like I think everybody basically benefits from that, I think all the retail that you see is like 2,000, 3,000 square feet a lot of times. There's a lot of people that have great businesses that are that just need 400 or 500 square feet, and they can pay that. And a lot of the big online businesses, right? 400 or 500 square feet, they could actually pay and have a hub for their actual business. And maybe they can stay up until 11 o'clock, get their products out there,
Stay open later, bring bars, restaurants, retail.
Yes.
Things that at the quality level that aren't here today.
That's what I'm trying to do.
What we're trying to do is fill the niche in the market. And so I'm getting the cue again, so we're going to have to wind this up. Brett, thank you so much for coming on today. And
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, and this is Brad Howard, Beyond the Blueprint, and we will be back next Friday at 3.